Hello, good morning. So my name is Miss Megan, and I'm the Nutrition and Health Coordinator at Greater Newark Conservancy. And this is our first live Family Fun in the Kitchen over Facebook. So thank you for tuning in when you can jump in. And this will be on our Facebook stream so that on our Facebook feed so you can see it later as well. So, as you probably know, we're going to be making hummus today. So hummus is one of my all-time favorite healthy snacks. So hopefully, if you want to make it with me, you've already gathered your ingredients. If not, start assembling now. I'll go over the ingredients again, just to make sure. So what you're going to need are 2 cans of chickpeas, and you'll notice that I have already gone ahead and drained and rinsed my chickpeas. So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and open your cans of chickpeas and drain and rinse those. So we'll need 2 cans of chickpeas. And then we're going to need some garlic. So I'm going to use 4 cloves of garlic. You can use more or less, maybe less than that if you'd like. We are also going to need olive oil and juice from 1 lemon. If you don't have a fresh lemon, that's okay. If you have a bottle of lemon juice, that'll work as well. And then we're going to need some spices. So we'll need salt, cumin, and paprika. So those are the spices that I'm going to be measuring out. And then we'll also need a little bit of water. And then, of course, after we make our hummus, you'll need something to eat your hummus with. So at the end, I'm also going to cut up some veggies. I have some veggies out here, so make sure you get that ready too. Okay, so while you're getting all your ingredients and draining and rinsing your chickpeas, let me tell you a little bit about why we're making hummus. So you might have tuned into Miss Sarah 2 weeks ago when she was doing Second Saturday. So she did a Second Saturday program all about beans. And she even mentioned chickpeas and hummus during that program. So I wanted to continue that theme. So hummus is a really nutritious snack. So chickpeas or garbanzo beans, they're high in fiber and protein and minerals like iron, so chickpeas are really good. Another reason to make hummus, it's really easy. It utilizes pantry staples, so hopefully you have canned or dried chickpeas in your pantry already. Things like garlic and spices, these are things that most people have on hand. You don't really need much in the way of equipment to make it, so if you have, let's see if I can lift this up. If you have a food processor or a blender, that's the easy way to make it. Everything just gets thrown in the food processor. But if you don't have one, that's fine. So what I'm going to be using today is a mortar and pestle. You can use a bowl and a fork, so it's super simple. And it's delicious. Yes, you can buy it at the store, but honestly, once you make homemade hummus, you're not going to want store-bought hummus anymore. So I'm going to try to address questions as I see them as well. So I've already seen that somebody asked, can you do it with another type of bean? Yes, you can. So you could use white beans, you can make black bean dips, that's not really the same as hummus, but yes, you can use other types of beans. And the other thing we'll talk about is that you can dress up your hummus. So I'm going to make a basic hummus, but you can also add olives to your hummus, roasted peppers, roasted eggplant, beets to make it pink. So you can make all sorts of different flavors of hummus as well. Okay, so let's get started. Hopefully you have all of your ingredients now on hand. And also make sure that you've washed your hands first. So before you ever cook or eat, you want to have nice clean hands. So I've already washed my hands. I've already drained and rinsed my chickpeas, so make sure you do that. And let's get started. So the first thing I want to go over, I always make sure that I address this first with any cooking program, is I want to talk about knife skills. Now, we don't have to cut a lot for this particular recipe, but we want to make sure that we know how to use a knife safely. So I've got my nice sharp knife here. Parents, if you want, plastic knife. So it's really up to you and your comfort level with what you want your child to use, but even really young children can use a butter knife. So let's talk about how to use that knife safely. So first, how do you hold the knife? So what's the best way to pick up your knife? So you want to hold the knife firmly right at the blade, and you want to hold it like you're shaking someone's hand. So you don't want to hold it out at the end, because then you won't have much in the way of control. So you want to hold it right up against the blade. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then in terms of cutting motions, so we want to make sure, and hopefully you can see this okay, you want to keep contact with your cutting board. So either you're sawing back and forth like this, right? So this sawing motion, or you can rock back and forth like a seesaw. But either way, part of your knife is always in contact with the cutting board. So sawing or seesawing. So you can just practice that right now, either with your sharp knife or your butter knife. So sawing and seesawing, okay? So in general, we don't want the knife to come off the cutting board too high. That can get a little dangerous. You might see chefs on cooking shows doing that, but you want to make sure that you're being careful there. Okay, so now how do you hold the thing that you're cutting? So I'll use this lemon as an example because we're going to be using lemon juice. So anyone who's come to one of my cooking programs before, you already know this, but how do we want to hold this lemon safely? What do we want to make? So we want to make a bear claw, right? So make a nice fierce bear claw, okay? And then we're going to hold the lemon with our bear claw. So this way, when I'm cutting, as you can see, I'm protecting my fingertips so that I won't accidentally cut those off. Okay, so I'm going to cut right through. And in general, if we're cutting something that's round, like a lemon, you want to make that first cut so then you have a flat surface so that it won't roll around. So when you are cutting something round, make those flat, squared off surfaces. Okay, so that's a little bit about knife skills. So hopefully you feel comfortable with your knife now. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to go over are some measuring skills. So I already got my water, as you can see, but one thing that's important to note about measuring liquids is you always want to get eye level with your measuring cup, and you want to make sure that the liquid, that the lowest point of the line, the meniscus, so you'll actually see that the water has a curve to it. You want the lowest part of that curve to be level with the line that you're measuring. So this is a 1/4 cup of water. Okay, so that's measuring liquids. And now why don't we measure out our spices? Okay, so I have my own separate little bowl for measuring my spices. Okay. So let's start with the salt. So we're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. So when you're pouring your spices, you want to make sure that you pour slowly. And in general, it's good to pour over a separate bowl rather than the bowl you're mixing in case you accidentally pour too much or spill some. So it's good to have this separate bowl. So you want to pour slowly, and you want a level spoonful. So I'm going to gently shake it, and I want to have a level spoonful of salt. Okay? So it comes right up to the line, but it's not over. Okay, and then the next spice we need after our salt is, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin. So you can take a nice whiff of that. Cumin smells really good. Okay. So for this one, I'm actually going to go ahead and dip in it. So another way to measure out your spices, you dip in a spoonful, and you can use the side, the wall of the container to help you make a level spoonful. So you dip it in there, and then you scrape it against the side, and then you get, well, it's a little extra, but you get a level spoonful of spices that way. All right, so we've got our salt, we've got our cumin. So what do we need next? So now we need a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Now, not everybody puts this in their hummus. This is a little bit different, but I like to add paprika. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop my 1/4 teaspoon in here, shake it off a little, scrape it against the side, and dump it in my bowl with the other spices. Okay, so now I'm going to mix these up. We've got our spices. Now, when I was listing out the ingredients, if you were wondering, so for experienced hummus makers, you might have noticed that I didn't mention tahini. So tahini is typically part of hummus. That's sesame seed paste. The reason I'm not including it is that not everybody has tahini in their pantry, and it can be a little expensive, so you don't have to add tahini. If you have it, go ahead and add it in, but you certainly don't need it. It'll still taste good without it. Okay, so we've gone over our safe knife skills, we've gone over our measuring skills, and now it's time to mix everything together. So again, if you have a food processor or a blender, this is really easy. You just throw everything in there and let the food processor do the work for you. But I'm actually going to use a mortar and pestle, mainly because I don't get to use it that often, and I think it's more fun. And I have all this energy from working at home, and so I need to get out some of that energy instead of letting the food processor do it for me. So I'm going to use this mortar and pestle. But I have a few other tools as well, just to show you other things you can do. So if you want, you can actually microwave the chickpeas for a minute to soften them a little, and then you can use a fork to mash them. You could also use a potato masher if you have a potato masher at home. But what I'm going to do now is start adding my ingredients to this bowl and mashing, because this is the fun part. Okay, so a mortar and pestle works really well. You can just mash all this up. Now, I saw a question about the skin of the chickpeas. So I know some people will actually take the time to take the skin off the chickpeas first. That seems like a lot of work to me. That's kind of laborious, and I don't think it's really necessary. So you can keep the skin on, but if you want to take the skin off, you could. So, and I'm seeing Sarah saying that that's fiber. Hi, Miss Sarah. And yeah, we want to make sure we're getting all the nutrients, and fiber is a really important one. All right, so I'm getting a nice mashed up chickpea mash here. So hopefully yours is getting all mashed up as well. So the next thing I'm going to add, I can add these spices in. We'll fold those in. So now let's do my favorite part, which is the garlic. So you might have seen on the ingredients list that I'm adding 4 cloves of garlic. Now anybody who knows me knows that I love garlic, and if that seems like too much to you, that's fine. Maybe start with 2 cloves. I won't be offended if you put less. but I love garlic, so I always put a lot. Any recipe that I'm making, I usually double the garlic right off the bat. Whatever they say, I definitely go double. So I'm going to add 4, but if you want to start with fewer, just to make sure you like it, that's fine. So the good thing about cooking in general is that you don't have to follow a recipe exactly, right? So you can always add more or less with spices, more or less with garlic. The only time you really have to be precise is with baking. But in general, you can always customize things how you like them. So it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so I'm chopping up my garlic. And you might have noticed I was doing that rocking motion, and I wasn't letting my knife leave the cutting board. So the other thing I want to show you is an easy way to peel garlic. So some people I know have trouble peeling garlic. What you can do, so when this wrapper is still on it, the way I like to peel it is I press down on it with the side of the knife. So you put the knife on it and then you press down and basically crush the garlic, and that helps the peel come right off. So now the peel basically falls right off, okay? Alright, so we're adding our garlic. So basically now what we're doing, we've already done our chopping and our measuring skills, so now we're just folding everything in, right? So we've got our spices, we've got our garlic, maybe you're using a food processor and you've already done all this. So now I'm going to add some olive oil. And I'm just going to add it right in. If you want to add it over a bowl first to make sure, but I'm going to go ahead and pour it directly in. So we need 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So there's our olive oil. And now I'm going to add the lemon juice. So again, if you don't have a fresh lemon, you can use a bottle of lemon juice, but I'm going to use my lemon here. And actually, I'm going to grab a sieve. Just so I don't get seeds in. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze my lemon in here. Okay. So just squeeze that in there. We have these really nice citrus squeezers at work that we use for our Family Fun in the Kitchen program, so that really helps you get all the lemon juice out. I don't have one of those, so I'll just use my muscles. So we're getting our lemon juice. Okay. So we've added our chickpeas, our garlic, our olive oil, our lemon juice, cumin, salt, paprika, and the last thing to add is water. Now, if you want to add all these ingredients first and see if you like the consistency, start there, and then if it seems too thick, then you can add water. Okay, so I also want to mention, in case you're able to do this at home, so I've got these lemon rinds and the garlic wrappers. So I've got a little compost bucket at home. So instead of throwing these in the garbage, I can add these to my compost. So that's a nice thing to do if you're able to help cut down on your garbage. Okay, so now we're just gonna fold all this in. So we're mixing everything up. And while I'm just finishing my mashing, I also want to mention, so we have a lot going on. Hopefully you're following us on social media and checking out our website. Our community garden is going strong, our Plot It Fresh program, and whether you're in our community garden program or not, especially if you're a newer gardener, we have seeds. So if you want to request seeds from us, you can do that on our website, or if you message us, we'll help you out with that. I also want to mention that in general, if you need recipes, now that we're all at home more and cooking more, you can reach out to me and I'm happy to provide you with recipes. And I also want to mention, you might have seen some of my other videos that I've been making videos about lead. And you can go and watch those. I don't want to spend too much time on that now, but I do want to mention that healthy eating is really important to protect us from lead, especially for our youngest folks. So there are certain superhero foods that help keep lead out of our bodies, and one of the reasons I'm making this recipe is that chickpeas are one of those superhero foods. And some of the veggies that I'm going to serve with my hummus, such as bell peppers, that's another superhero food, vegetables in general. So that's just yet another reason to make healthy snacks like this. And if you want to learn more about lead, you can check out our website and some of the other videos that I've been making related to that. So, okay, let's review our knife skills. We're almost ready to try this. This is really exciting. So, reviewing our knife skills, how am I going to hold this bell pepper? I'm going to hold it with my bear claw, right? So, safely holding my bell pepper. So I've got that. So I'm just going to cut this into some strips to try my hummus. And then the other things I'm going to try my hummus with today are radishes. So radishes are a great spring veggie. So speaking about gardening, if you can garden at home, this is a good time to be growing radishes. They grow really quickly. So I'm going to make a few slices of radish. So radishes are a nice spicy root vegetable. And then I've got some baby carrots. Those are always good with hummus. And I've got some celery. And then I also have, does anybody know what this is? So kind of looks like a carrot, right? So this is a parsnip. So parsnips are kind of similar to carrots. They're actually a little bit sweeter. So I'm going to peel a little bit of this off. Okay, so I peeled part of the parsnip. And I'm going to dip that in my hummus as well. And then last but not least, I also have my favorite crackers. So these are Triscuit Thins. The reason I like them, if you read the ingredients list, what you're going to see, there are only 3 ingredients: whole grain wheat, canola oil, sea salt. So really simple. They don't have tons of unpronounceable words like you normally see on processed foods. So these are a cracker that I would recommend. Okay, so are we ready to try this hummus? So this is what mine looks like. I didn't even add water. Maybe I'll just add a little bit now. So if you made yours in a food processor, it probably looks a little bit creamier, right? But having it be a little chunky is okay too. Okay, so let's try it and see how it turned out. Okay, I think it's pretty good. What do you think? Hopefully yours turned out good. Okay, I'm seeing Mary's Gone crackers are healthy and great with hummus too. That's good to know. Yep, and multigrain crackers. That's another good choice as well. So, if you made hummus along with me today, please feel free to share a picture of your process or a video, or share what you decided to eat it with, and tag us on social media. So at CityBloom87 on Instagram and at Greater Newark Conservancy on Facebook. So post your pictures, tag us. Let me know if you like this recipe, and let me know if you had any other questions as well. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over with, although I did see a question earlier about what else can you make with chickpeas. So that's a really good question. So chickpeas are super versatile. I like to roast them in the oven. You just add a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and roast them in the oven, and they make a nice crunchy snack. So that's one thing you can do. I have a really good veggie burger recipe that's made out of chickpeas, and you add some cilantro and garlic and zucchini and make veggie burgers. So if you want that recipe, let me know. That's a good one. You can make falafel. You could make what I made for dinner last night, which is chana masala, which is like an Indian curried chickpea stew. That's really tasty. So a lot of different things that you can make with chickpeas. So again, they're a good thing to have in your pantry, either canned chickpeas or dried chickpeas. So another thing I want to mention, unfortunately, these canned chickpeas, you might notice, this is just regular old chickpeas, and one reason that you want to make sure that you rinse them before you cook with them or make recipes with them is that they are packed in sodium. So normally I try to look for canned vegetables and canned beans that have this blue no salt added banner on them. But the last time I went to ShopRite to get more chickpeas, they were all out. This is what they had because things are limited. So if you can look for the no salt added canned chickpeas, canned beans, that's better. But that's why you want to rinse them first to get rid of that sodium. Okay, I'm also seeing chickpea salad or cooked with greens. Yeah, that sounds good too. I like to make a really simple chickpea salad that's just chickpeas, tomatoes, cilantro, and red onions. That one's really tasty. So, thank you so much for joining me. This was our first Family Fun in the Kitchen on Facebook Live. So please share your pictures, share your questions. Make sure you check out our website to request seeds, and check out the other videos that we're doing. Alright, so thank you everybody for joining us, and enjoy your hummus, and have a wonderful day.